go for it.
So great to hear. Williamstown, I'm from Stockbridge, just
I
a
know,
little south of you.
Stockbridge. I love
Yeah.
Stockbridge. You got some good stuff there.
You know, it's so great because so often we don't get to talk statistics, and yet you look at the westernmost part of the state. We've got an average age at 62 compared to 39 statewide. We've got a median income in my town that is less than half of what it is statewide. We're not. It strikes me that there's a couple of things we do really well, like a water abatement trust, where towns can borrow at 0 to 2%. I'm a selectman in Stockbridge. If you have a water problem, but when you look at deploying the millionaire's tax, or literally like deploying that $7 billion in capital we have sitting in the state's coffers, make it easier to borrow. In Great Barrington, there was a big article in the paper the other day about how with average taxes of $6,000, people are rethinking whether we build a school there. And that's going to be the only vocational school in South County. If you make the cost of capital less, between 0 to 6%, the annual carrying cost for the towns is cut in half. And it's so important to have access to capital at low rates across housing, across schools, across infrastructure. My God, in my district, 3rd Berkshire, there's 18 towns with 1,072 miles of roads, 5 times the roads per capita of the rest of the state. And every one of those towns has failed bridges. They're either closed or with one lane. So make capital cheaper, which obviously is much less than a grant. A MassWorks grant, because there's not enough of that to go around for 351 towns. Make the money cheaper. That's my strong recommendation to you.
I love it. I love that idea. And there's actually something in the Affordable Housing Act called the Momentum Fund, which is aimed at exactly this, creating a fund where we basically kind of reduce interest rates and make the math work.
That's right.
Otherwise, the math just doesn't work.
Right.
That's where we're going to test this, I think, first. And then we do have a lot of quasis that give out lower interest loans right now between Mass Development and Mass Growth Capital. We just need more of it.
But Ed, but when the towns are 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 people, we don't even have planners. So it's impossible to even know these grants are out there unless my God, I get $4,000 a year as a selectman, and I am looking at grants all day long, opportunities. But not everybody can do that if they're working a full-time job. So even just making that information available to folks is really fantastic.
This is why our office hired for the first time ever someone dedicated to small rural towns. So Ann Goby, former Senator Ann Goby. She has spent, I think she's visited like a large number of the small towns, because she's like, these towns don't have the resources to be going after all these grants, to be filling out this paperwork. And so part of the idea is to make things a lot easier and to have a separate rural designation that has probably a different process and a different, easier way to kind of access some of these things. So I love that.
All right.